I just need to let everybody know you missed a really great chatting segment here where Dempsey just like doesn't. I don't think he really. He's working through something right now, and the thing he's working through is. I ultimately think Dempsey is trying to figure out if he exists or not, and he's the way that he's expressing it is through his disdain of philosophy.
The way that he argued that theme doesn't exist is, yeah, but we might be wrong about gravity. So that just tells you everything about
That's not what I was saying.
That is
I was
what
saying
you
the
said.
exact opposite.
Nope.
I was saying that with gravity we can falsify our information, and with theme we cannot. Anyways.
Okay. Anyway.
Welcome to Overthinking Games, podcast. Actually, a podcast about what games can teach us, and not actually a podcast about Dempsey's views on philosophy.
Yeah.
My name is Seth. I have a reasonable belief in science. I think objectivity exists in our world, and I defer to the experts. Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I believe that themes are universal messages that exist in the world. Go ahead, Dempsey.
Anything that's a human experience cannot be objective. That's an oxymoron. And themes can only be experienced by humans, and therefore, by definition, cannot be objective. Anyways,
hi, my name is Dempsey. I have long hair. All right, moving on. Anything else you would like for your introduction?
This is great podcast energy.
This is good.
Yeah, this is good.
We're very,
this is what happens when we like take a week off.
We're very antagonistic. Okay, so we have. I will go first on what we've been playing this week. I have not played anything except Pokemon, the trading card game, on my phone in my free time. I'm starting to develop more of a strategy. Right now, I'm starting to have like only 1 or 2 monsters, with everything else support, and that seems to be going pretty well for me. So a very support heavy deck. If you play, I think you know what that means, and that's kind of the thing that I'm flirting with. Other than that, I have made pretty much no progress on Death Stranding. Josh from the Gamer's Drink keeps bullying me every time I get on his live to play Expedition 33.
Is he back?
Yeah, you can go follow him on TikTok. And he doesn't. I don't think he posts TikToks anymore. I think he just mostly does lives.
That's awesome.
But I will jump on there and watch him play Lies of P or whatever. And then he bullies me and says that I need to stop playing Death Stranding and start playing Clara Obscura Expedition 33, which I've heard is like the game to play this year.
Yeah,
and
I've heard it's really, really good.
Yeah. And so hopefully I will get to that after Death Stranding. But I have been swamped with work and other creative projects and just a bunch of stuff, and have not really turned on my PS5 for like the last 2 weeks. So that's where I am.
Fair.
Wow, we're 4 minutes in, and Dempsey's already done his what I've been doing.
Cow. All right.
I'm so angry.
The people that tune in for the Dempsey show will be sad.
Sure, actually.
I'll go next. I have been playing Warzone. It's super fun. I'm in love with it again because of casual mode still. And let's see, what else have I played? I've been playing Citizen Sleeper 2, which is so good. Let me tell you where I'm at, Dempsey. I'm at the part where, we found somebody's sibling.
Oh, sure.
Yep. And, sorry, labor all the way. That is the route that I went, like pro-labor. And so there's been some interesting developments there. It's been really fun.
So are you to the point where it feels like the dice aren't having much of an impact anymore? I feel like by that point I was like, it's the dice, it really just felt like a visual novel. Like it did not feel like I was struggling at all, or even having to make like very strategic decisions. It really felt like I really loved the story, and I loved I think the dice, I think it was paced really well. Like I think they're a really good pacing mechanic and things like that. Mm-hmm. But by the time I got to that point, and especially for me afterwards, it really felt like there was literally no friction in the experience of the story.
Yeah, I just had a mission go a little bit sideways because I didn't have a plus in the category that I needed to. But I see what you're saying, though. For the most part, I feel like if I really want it to go right, I can make it go right. I think that there's a little bit of a balancing issue with how easily you can recover from stress and things like that.
I agree.
And that's what makes it like using your push to reroll dice isn't really much of a risk unless you're on a contract. So sometimes the contracts feel a little bit risky. But yeah, I would agree. It definitely plays more like a visual novel than the first one did. Even though I feel like they tried to add in all these new mechanics to change it up, but for some reason it is more of a visual novel than the first one. The first one felt like you had really impactful consequences, and I think that's something I've noticed as well, because I had to start over a couple times in the beginning because I was having issues, and I would choose different dialogue things, and it kind of brought me all to the same place. So some of the choose your own adventure side of it's a little bit I really wonder if it's I really wonder if it's even worth a second playthrough. I feel like if you kind of play it once, you get really everything that there is. Yeah, I think the first one, I feel like you could have really different outcomes.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. I did find a Horizon Zero Dawn paint by numbers, and I'm probably going to do that because I like anything video game art related. That's super fun. How about you?
Have you, Katie, have you been keeping up with the news like over the past couple days?
As little as possible. Why?
Not like world event news, just like video game news. They've been a whole bunch of conferences. Have you played Splitgate at all?
But I want to.
I think you would really like. Yeah, it's free, so it's free to play. So you can kind of just bounce in and check it out. It's a very controversial game. A lot of people are saying that it's not, like, a lot of people have really split opinions on it. I really like the idea, and I don't have a vocabulary for shooters, so I don't know if it's good or bad. It plays like Titanfall and with portals.
Titanfall's great. Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Shadowrun. They did a Shadowrun multiplayer a long time ago, and it didn't live very long at all. But there was like a teleportation side of things with that. Like, you had a certain power where you could teleport to different places and things like that. So I think it's interesting to take the standard shooter and try to give it a different dynamic. I think it'll be interesting to try out. How about you, Seth? What have you been playing?
Well, I'm glad you asked. And I forgot to mention this earlier, the topic I want to do today is to talk about waiting, which would have been, I think, more poignant had we recorded last week, because we would have recorded the day before Elden Ring Nightreign came out. And now I've had a week to play it. So, different perspectives. But I have been pretty much just grinding Elden Ring Nightreign. I don't know how many hours I have on it right now, but it's a lot. And I have a lot to say, which I will say in a second.
Is it a multiplayer game? I heard it was a multiplayer game.
So Elden Ring Nightreign is 3-player co-op with an optional solo mode. There's no duo queues. Your options are either solo, and you're flying solo. It's not like solo with like NPC bots. It's you versus the world, or running 3-man trios. And
I hear it's not balanced for solo. Like if you solo, it doesn't change.
No, okay. It does not. Oh, well, it changes a little bit. So a couple things about Nightreign now that we're like about a week in. Nightreign was sort of self-described as an Elden Ring roguelite. I would say it's 70 Elden Ring, 30 roguelite right now. Compared to like Blueprints, which was like 50 roguelite, 50 puzzle game, and I had a lot of praise for Blueprints. I don't have as much praise for Nightreign on the roguelite side of things, but like there's reason for that. it executes its concept fairly well. The general way that it works, and Dempsey, you've played Elden Ring. Katie, you have not, right?
I've played it a little.
Okay, you played it a little. So, like, Elden Ring, big open world to explore. When you do Nightreign, it drops you have, like, a modified Elden Ring map of loosely, like, the first area of the game, Limgrave. That's been pretty heavily modified. You drop in, like, Fortnite style. So it'll have you, like, fly into the map, and then it'll, like, drop you off somewhere on the edge of the map, and then you can sort of, like, run around and go pick stuff up. There's a circle that after, like, each day is, like, 15 minutes, loosely. After, like, 5 minutes, it'll pick, like, a smaller circle on the map, and then the big circle starts to, like, close in, and then it picks, like, another circle on the map after another couple minutes, and it starts to close in there. You play 2 days of that, and then the day 3, you fight the Night Lord, which is, like, the final boss of that run. So, all said and done, runs are pretty consistently about, like, 40 minutes, because the first day takes about 15 minutes, second day takes about 15 minutes, and then your final boss fight, plus, like, your prep time at the start, takes about 40 minutes overall. Fun, fine. I actually think that's a good length for something. It's a little annoying because you can't, like, phase in and out of it. That's about how long I would consider, like, most good roguelite runs anyway. Like, if I play around a Binding of Isaac, I kind of expect it to take, like, 40, 45 minutes. Slay the Spire, if you're being quick about it, and you're kind of, like, in the rhythm, I think takes about 45 minutes. Probably closer to, like, an hour if you're not. It is fun. It's good. I like it. It's got a bit of a learning curve. I think I played it day 1 and I went, I don't get this. And I had a very long conversation with a friend of mine, who's one of my main guys I play trios with. And he's like, the game's mid, it needs better communication features, blah, 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 blah. Like, he went on a whole long rant about, like, the game's mid, it's like a 7 out of 10, that's okay. Not everything FromSoft makes can be a banger. And I could tell he was a little, like, personally hurt about it. And then we played, like, another couple days, and he's like, okay, this is pretty good. I really enjoy this. And that's kind of how I feel about Nightreign overall. You have to play it a little bit to, like, get into it. But it has cool systems. I like their perpetual upgrade system. So in Hades, it's got the mirror, right? And you upgrade the mirror over time. This has these, like, relics you get. They're these little gemstones that each have, like, up to 3 abilities, and you can slot them in on your different characters to get, like, buffs for the run. So that's a cool system. There's no other, like, permanent upgrades. It's not like Hades where you're like, oh, I can, like, get more max health. You're just, like, stuck with what you got. It is fun. I would love to be playing some right now, but we're I kind of
run. Are the runs, like, is it the same boss fight every time, or does it vary, or, like?
No. So at the end of day, okay. So when you queue up, you pick your day 3 boss to queue into. So if I want to fight Libra, who's the madness-oriented boss, I will queue into Libra and then get matched up with 2 randoms. My end of day 1 boss and my end of day 2 bosses are randomized. And so when that circle closes, you get, like, the whole map at the start of the day. It closes up to, I would say, probably about half to a third of the map you have access to. And then the circle will close to, like, a pretty small radius. Usually just, like, a small sort of area you can go. The day doesn't progress until you beat the boss at the end of the day. So in order for day 2 to start, I have to beat the day 1 boss. Dempsey, was your question?
I was wondering if, like, if there's any kind of progression, like, do you open up, like, new bosses or open up new challenges or anything like that? Any kind of meta progression, even on, like, the challenge side, not on the character side?
Not particularly. So you have to beat the very first boss to unlock the rest of the bosses. But aside from that, there's the only other element of meta progression is these relics that you can use that are like permanent buffs to your character. So there's something simple from like, hey, your character has like +2 dexterity, which is not really significant in any useful way, down like all the way to something that gives like extra experience for the entire team. I have a relic that makes it so that like when I drink my healing flask, it also heals my allies a little bit. They have relics that give like character specific boosts. So the sort of default character is the Wilder. And I don't know how best to describe it, but he's got like a giant stake on his arm that he can just like, his ultimate ability is it just like explodes. He just kind of like uppercuts somebody and it's cool. But he's got a relic that can make it so that when it explodes, it leaves like a bunch of fire on the ground that does like a damage over time. So the relics are the sort of meta progression, but there's no way to collect specific relics. There's a merchant who like sells a small handful of specific ones, but for the most part, you get 4 or 5 of them randomly at the end of your run, whether or not you beat the final boss. You get some specific ones for beating the bosses. The other system, which I haven't made a mention of, they have these things called remembrances. So there's this like the meta progression in the game is a meta lore progression. As you play characters, you unlock more of their story over time, and then you can do side quests to unlock like more of their story.
Are side quests like challenges, or like are they like extra locations to visit, or like what?
No, most
like,
of the side quests will just be like, hey, I need you to like go find a flower in your next run. But all it really does is it drops like an objective marker on your map, and when you go there, there's like a special enemy to fight, and when you beat it, then you can like pick up the item.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just there's some MacGuffin they want you to pick up. Mm-hmm. It's not like relevant to the mechanics.
Was Nightreign its own game release, or is it an expansion?
Nightreign is its own game release. It's completely unique from Elden Ring. You don't have to have Elden Ring. Don't have to have the Elden Ring DLC. It's also only $40.
I was going to ask how much it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not priced like a full game, and especially because games are getting like more and more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you this from day one. From day one, it's worth $40.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much, you can tell, like an experimental game from FromSoft. It's not like anything they've put out before, but like it still does have like the FromSoft level quality where you're like, this is good. This is a good game. They probably could have charged $60 for it, but I understand them charging $40 like for that reason.
Yeah.
Dempsey, you had made a mention about the single player thing, which I'll make a quick mention of. When the game came out, single player, I was like, this is impossible. Like you can't do this single player. After a couple days, they made it so that you get like 50 to 70% extra experience when you do single player. And now I think I've actually beat the majority of the bosses solo. So it's very doable as a solo experience, but I'll say it's not nearly as fun as a solo experience. Like, the only time I really do solo is if I'm trying to do the remembrances, which is like the side quests, because side quests have their own queue, which if you think about the amount of people queuing into these side quests that are optional progression and you can only do once, you'll sit in the queue for forever if you're doing one of these. It's inane.
Mm-hmm. And you have to have the third, like if you're queuing trios, you have to have trio.
Yeah, and everybody has to be doing the remembrance.
I have a quick question that this is kind of a segue. It sounds a lot like the gameplay progression for Warzone, where like you jump in and you have to move your way through, like, there's this progression. There's not like a single boss or whatever, but could Warzone be a roguelike? Because you play a round that lasts probably about 30 minutes, and you start out at the beginning and you have like nothing, and you pick stuff up and you go through, and then there's certain, like at the third circle there's a fire sale, and then at like the sixth circle this other thing happens, and then you win or you lose and you say again. But there is it called meta progression? Because you're like unlocking, like you're leveling up guns and you're unlocking like attachments and things like that.
Okay, so and I think the ultimate secret about Nightreign, this is why I said it's like 70 Elden Ring, 30 roguelite, is because it's really not a roguelite. To me, the heart of Nightreign was an Elden Ring battle royale. I can almost guarantee that was their initial concept, because it essentially plays like an Elden Ring battle royale.
Okay, because that's what it sounds like it plays like.
It's an Elden Ring PvE battle royale.
Yeah.
So, but like, battle royale doesn't really work in Elden Ring. I mean, the FromSoft game PvP is like its own beast. So they essentially said, like, how can we do like a battle royale in Elden Ring, but make it so that you don't actually have to play against other people? Because that would suck. The FromSoft games are about like fighting bosses and stuff. And this is how they did it. And again, I think they did a fairly fantastic job of it.
That's cool.
But is it really a roguelite? You'd have to make a fairly convincing argument to me. Because I was able to talk about blueprints and be like, hey, here are all of these roguelite elements. It matches up closely. You look at Nightreign and you're like, not really. Doesn't really have most of that stuff going on. Maybe that's a controversial take, but
okay, that's what I wondered.
Oh, well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would identify more as like a PvE battle royale, but that's a hard. It's not really like a genre that exists,
right? It does sound very unique.
Problem. If I look up, I wanted to look up Nightreign on the Steam page. The user-defined tags are Souls-like, online co-op, roguelike, multiplayer. But I think there's not really like a word for
boss
co-op PvE battle royale.
Yeah.
But
that's interesting. Whatever. That's fun.
That's my long rant about Nightreign.
That sounds like a game I would actually really enjoy, because I think I haven't gotten into FromSoft games, because if I could do them with a friend, then I absolutely would. And I tried to do the multiplayer like with my brother on Elden Ring, but it was so clunky and it didn't work well at all.
Yeah, it's not really Elden Ring, unless if you play like the seamless co-op mod that lets you like really go around the whole map. Elden Ring was never really intended for like good multiplayer. This is kind of like good multiplayer. I mean, hey, if you want to play Nightreign, I'll play Nightreign with you 100%.
Okay.
Because even though you can't trio queue, if it's just you and another person, it'll queue you up with like a rando.
So like, right.
Even if Dempsey's not in on this, we could figure it out. But
okay, cool.
Do I have anything else to mention? Not particularly. But
okay,
I guess topic time.
Yeah.
Topic time. Woo.
Go for it.
Yay. So, recently I was thinking, and this is sort of what led to this topic. I was thinking about waiting, because I originally wanted to do this right before Nightreign came out. And I feel, and now, see, the problem is now there's a lot of stuff that's happened in literally the last week. But I feel like we've been in a big period of like gaming waiting. Like people were waiting for a long time for like Switch 2 to come out, which has come out in the last week. People were waiting for Nightreign to came out, which came out in the last week. And I think there's two kinds of waiting. there's like we are waiting for things outside of our control, which is like a game release in the future. But also we impose waiting upon ourselves sometimes, such as the fact that none of us have played Hades 2 because we are waiting for it to come out of early access. Despite the fact that we are fully capable of playing Hades 2 right now, and yet we have chosen not to.
Yeah.
Waiting plays a big significance. So I think I'm fairly confident I'm the religious one on the podcast. The sort of Christian period of waiting is what they call Advent, right? It's the time before Christmas. And there's a lot that we could go into there for Advent and waiting.
I never knew that's what
but
that
I think it's important to like reflect on that and think about like, what are we waiting for, and like why does waiting suck sometimes, and why does it feel like really good at other times? So my initial intro question is, what's the game release, or what's the release you're waiting for most right now?
I'm not
I was just gonna start, but
go for it. He asked that, and then he paused, and so I thought we were waiting for us to jump in.
No.
Go for it, Seth.
We had a brief pause. No, please. I've been yapping too much.
I'm not waiting for a new release right now, but there are several games that I am waiting to purchase, or waiting to play. So I'm waiting for, is it Whistle Stop? Is that the one that is by Stanley Parable guy? What's that one called, Dempsey?
Wander Stop,
not Whistle Stop. Jeez, Wander Stop. I want to play that, but I've bought so many games that I'm like, oh, I need to play those games first. But I run into problems with waiting for certain games in my library that I already own. Like,
do you feel like that's your barrier for Wander Stop? Is you're waiting to purchase Wander Stop until you get through this library?
I've played some of the other games that I've bought and haven't played. So like I bought Citizen Sleeper 2 ages ago, and I didn't play it for ages because I was waiting for it to be the right time, because I was I was anticipating it so highly that I was afraid to start it at the wrong time and not have the experience that I wanted to have with it.
Okay, so I want to break down two things from that. So the first thing is, you said you're waiting for Wander Stop until you go through your other library. So why do you feel the need to wait?
Trying to be a fiscally responsible adult and not buy more games when I have other games that I've bought that I haven't played. And also, like, playing games is one hobby and buying games is another hobby, right? So sometimes I'm like, I'm just buying things because I want dopamine from buying them. So I'm like, well, maybe I should just play what I have.
I mean, fair.
Yeah.
And then, so you waited to play Citizen Sleeper 2 until you sort of felt like it was the right moment. So,
which was the right moment was a long weekend. I didn't have any school. I was going to have 4 days off so that I would have time to play it. Because the first Citizen Sleeper, I played it in almost one sitting on an international flight, coming home from Ireland. And it was such a special experience because it was so compact. And I was able to basically experience the whole thing in one sitting. It made it very intense and very memorable. And I was able to be so focused because I was on a plane. There's no, internet. I don't have a cell phone. I was flying by myself. Nobody to talk to. So it was a very focused experience. And I wanted to try to have that with Citizen Sleeper, which is why I restarted 3 times, because I kept fucking up so badly that all of my dice were broken. And I was like, this is not the experience that I want to be having. And then, of course, after waiting for so long, I haven't had that experience because, other things have happened. But that's life, isn't it?
Well,
So you wait for the perfect time, but the perfect time never actually comes.
yeah. So how do you feel like your waiting was beneficial?
No, it just meant I haven't played it yet, and I'm less far than I would be if I had started it earlier.
Sure.
I'm doing the same thing with Senua's, the second Hellblade 2. I bought that last year on the day it released, and I haven't played it because I've been waiting for the right time to play it.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
It's fine. Dempsey, how about you? What do you wait for? What do you wait to come out?
Well, I think there's a couple answers. There's like some specific games that I'm looking forwards to, like Mixtape and A Skate Story. And then communally, I, along with all of creation, groan and waiting for Silksong.
Of course.
And, yeah.
I forgot. It's so far out of reach that I completely forgot.
Yeah. All of the, I think the Xbox showcase mentioned Silksong, and they said that it's definitely coming before holiday of 2025.
Where they said June before, didn't they? Or am I imagining that?
There's no way.
So yeah,
It's
so
June.
They said June, and it is June, which is what I just went to check.
So there's that element. I guess the thing that I'm most currently waiting for is kind of interesting because Death Stranding, I'm worried that I've left it long enough to where I can't remember how to play because it's kind of a complicated game. So that's like, I think I've waited too long to jump back in on that game, and I'm going to have to like retutorialize myself. And then I feel like because I have this other game that I want to play afterwards, I worry that that's going to make me want to rush through Death Stranding because I know Death Stranding is a long game, and I'm like maybe 20 hours in and it's like a 60-hour game. And so for me, that could be like a month or more. And so like, but I know I want to get to playing Obscura, Expedition 33. And so there's like this strange sense of waiting where like I kind of understand Death Stranding now and it's good and I like it a lot, but I don't love it enough to feel like everything else is out of my mind while I play it. And so there's this thing on the horizon that is sucking my attention.
So do you feel like you're just kind of like waiting to get finished with Death Stranding?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I think right now I'm kind of finishing it because I feel like I want to see the experience through rather than, and I do want to see the experience through. I want to see how the gameplay develops and how the narrative develops. And I also want to be able to play the second game and feel like I know what's going on. And I don't feel like recaps can possibly do these games justice because of how insane the lore is. Like you would have to, like you kind of have to watch all the cutscenes in order to, like there's just no context you can give to any of this that makes it coherent. And so like there's a lot of reasons why I kind of want to push through the game, but I'm kind of waiting for it to be over. It's fun, it's good. There's a lot of things I like about it, but I think the initial kind of learning and wrestling is over, and now it's kind of playing the story. So yeah, I don't know. I'm also I think like the waiting, like, so the thing that waiting made me think about is load screens.
Okay. What about them?
And well, how we've got rid of them in the past like 5 or so years.
Yeah.
How on the PS4, I would say the PS4 generation had like proper load screens. And now I think like probably 5 seconds is the most time I'll spend in a load screen on a PS5.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like my Steam Deck and my Switch still take a while sometimes, but all the AAA games I play are on my PS5. And that's like the thing that this generation touted, was to get rid of load screens. And I think it's something that we don't think about a lot until we play an older game on an older system. But that I think has really changed how I feel about games, and like on like a level that's so granular, it's kind of invisible. But I don't know.
Well, I think that's important though, because like, okay, so I saw somebody talk about this for the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet played on Switch 2 not only like looks way better, it actually plays at like 60 FPS, but it essentially has no load screens. The guy was saying that going from the base game Scarlet and Violet map to the DLC map used to be like a 30-second wait time. Now you select the other map and it like pops up the loading screen and then the loading screen goes away and then you're just like in the new map. Like it's that. So okay, on the topic of how do you feel about load screens?
Yeah, I don't miss them. I don't think they add any value. I'm very happy that they're gone. I think they give you tips sometimes, but like, so if I think of like times where I would have a loading screen a lot, like Demon Souls. So on Death Stranding, I don't think I would really come in contact with a loading screen. And then in indie games, they're so lightweight on the system, there's pretty much no loading screen anyways. But like Demon Souls for the PS5, there was no loading screen, and that made the boss runs a lot more palatable. Like the idea of dying and then having to sit like 30 seconds through a loading screen and then having to do the boss rush.
That's painful.
Or the boss run rather. That sounds horrible. That sounds, especially if you're doing it like a dozen or so times. So no, I don't. I feel like there's a lot of art that I associate with loading screens. Like I think that's a place that people put art and text and little jokes or things like that. Like they add a little bit of texture to the game.
I feel like Skyrim
would have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they would have like the assets, right? That they would use slow 3D.
Rotate.
Yes. And they would always have like interesting tidbits, like if you mix so and so with such and such, you'll make a blah 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 potion. You're like, what? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't really. I think that like death screen. I think loading screens and death screens are kind of similar. In Thor Ragnarok, or not Thor Ragnarok. That's a Marvel movie. In God of War Ragnarok, because all of pulp culture is just one mushy pie in which nothing's differentiated from each other. In God of War
nothing
Ragnarok
exists.
Well, okay. Anyways, in God of War Ragnarok, there's a gag. Have either of you guys? None of you guys have played God of War Ragnarok.
No.
So there's a gag with the loading screen that they use to kind of do fourth wall breaking, where you think you're going into a death screen and then you get revived by a character, and that's played as like a fun fourth wall break. Do
you guys remember? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
Do you remember in Assassin's Creed, the loading screen was like a white world that was like with water on the ground. It was, and you could run around. You could run around, and that felt so cool at the time.
Yeah, I think having interactive loading screens is always very cool.
Well,
yeah,
okay,
and
so
I do remember Assassin's Creed.
Okay, so this is the dichotomy in my head is like good waiting, bad waiting. So like loading screen seems to be like bad waiting. But
you can make it more palatable though with art
like
and these
interactive loading screen, or like
sure
loading screen that has like art asset or like interesting little tidbits. Like okay, that's a little bit more palatable.
Sure.
Because we have to be constantly entertained.
Right. Like is this like a modern brain needs like constant activity problem?
I think so.
I don't think so.
Really?
Okay, so Katie, make your take.
I was thinking the fact that we find loading screens so unpalatable, and the fact that it's such a like, oh, there's no loading screens at all, or like that a 30-second loading screen feels long, or that a 10-second loading screen feels long, I think is 100% a symptom of the fact that we are constantly entertained and overstimulated, and our brains are not comfortable at all with waiting. Everything is instant gratification.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate on both of your points.
Okay.
Because like if you ever timed yourself sitting at a red light, the actual, even if a red light feels really long, I guarantee you don't sit at the red light for more than like a minute and a half. Like even if you're like, oh my god, we're here like forever, but I feel like it's because the normal red light I sit at is for like 15 or 30 seconds, and then like you're schmoovin'. I think we just don't like doing things and then being forced into like, okay, now you're not doing a thing.
Stopping.
And you're like, oh, I'm just sitting here at this damn light. And
That's
in the
a
Northeast,
good analogy.
if somebody's making a left at a light, we drive on the right side in the median around them because the Northeast is so impatient.
Yeah.
So I think we just don't like being bored. Like, we just want to be doing stuff.
But don't you think that we used to be better at it?
I mean, I don't have a perspective. I think probably
you're so
not.
young. You probably grew up with an iPad, didn't you?
No, I didn't grow up with an iPad. How old do you think I am?
I think
Baby.
so. This is so.
Yeah, Dempsey, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so I think that it's a pacing issue. Whereas there are moments of quiet and downtime that feel good, but loading screens are not necessarily placed in the rhythm of the game to make those moments of quiet meaningful. I think there are like Split Fiction and Hazelight games have moments of quiet. I think Hollow Knight is an example that will have moments of quiet where you're not really doing anything. Lots of open worlds will have kind of moments of non-activity. And I think those elements of being a lot less stimulated for an experience feel good if they're in some kind of rhythm that supports some kind of experience. Whereas I just think that the game that you're playing is wanting to defeat a boss, and the only thing that the loading screen accomplishes is getting in between you and the boss. Whereas I think in other contexts, like the benches and things like that, like I think it's a pretty common way to play Hollow Knight. I was just watching a streamer do this last night. Like, people will sit on the benches and just kind of chill there for a little bit, and that's kind of self-paced, and that's like I think the benches are made for that, and it's framed in a way that's pleasing, and so you can kind of spend. But like, that's what they're put at a part in the game and the action that feels like that break from the action makes a lot of sense. Except like in the City of Tears, where it's kind of by that window and the rain's falling out, and that's like a really beautiful moment in the game, and it feels really natural to stop and to kind of soak in the atmosphere. So I think that loading screens are not often created in a way that facilitates the experience that the player wants, or that the player is being promised. But when moments of quiet are in line with that experience, I think we are open to quietness. Just not.
Do you think it's the agency then that you can choose to wait rather than you're being forced to wait by a loading screen?
I think I'm trying to think of specific examples, but I don't think so. I think it plays a part. I think you're right. It plays a big part. But So like Kojima will go into these cutscenes where you don't have any agency, and sometimes it'll be like a long pan of an Icelandic landscape. And again, it's not as long as, I don't think it's as long as what a typical loading screen would be, but I think it's just because the pacing is built in to be pleasing. I think it's a lot more about how it facilitates an experience. And if agency is important to that experience, then yes, agency is important. But I think you can have other types of experiences where agency is not necessarily as important anyway. Like in Death Stranding, agency is kind of takes a seat back to the cinematic experience. And so because you're going to a Kojima game for this insane cinema experience, then the waiting still supports that experience. So I think maybe you're right. Yeah, in a lot of games, agency is important, and so agency would be important in waiting. But I think that you can have times where that's not necessarily the case.
Do you think, so I don't know anything about this. I don't know if you guys do. Do you think they, in Death Stranding, does he use the like slow pan across the Icelandic ground as a cover? Is there like a loading happening behind that so that when the cut screen's over, you're in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Potentially. And on the PS4, because I think it came out for the PS4, and that would have been a lot more important. And a lot of games hid their loading screens. So like in God of War, you would crawl through a rock where, and that was to hide a loading screen. And so, yeah, there was a lot more
like
of that.
the animation when you like sidle through something, that's a loading screen.
I will say though, talking about Death Stranding and waiting, and this is where I don't know if this is considered waiting or not. And I would like to see if you guys. So sometimes you will just be walking, and you'll walk like a quarter mile, and then the game knows that you're not going to come. There's like a lot of open worlds will like every 15 or 20 seconds they'll give you something to interact with. Death Stranding is not like that. And so if the game knows that you're not going to interact with anything for like a minute or 2 minutes of just pure walking, it'll kick up a song. And that's kind of the only time in game that there's music is when you're walking, and then the name of the song and the artist will come up at the bottom of the screen, and you collect these MP3 files. And so like, but you're still walking, even though and like you're still like, you kind of just hold yourself like this so you don't trip, and you walk forwards and you see your guy kind of like make progress. And elements like that, I don't know like if I would consider that waiting or not, because you're still in control of the character, and the camera will kind of zoom away from the character to where you're still in control of him, but he's kind of situated in the landscape a lot more. And I think Red Dead did that sometimes too.
I was about to say Red Dead does that when you're riding the horse, and it'll keep you on the path, and it'll just zoom out a little bit. Yeah.
To kind of make these vistas.
Katie's agency idea. Because, like, I'm seeing agency in, like, three forms of waiting for agency. And I think it's essentially, like, a sliding scale on how we feel about it. Which is, like, a load screen is, like, a very forced period of waiting.
You must wait. Mm-hmm.
Like, to the point of, like, I'm fighting, like, a Souls boss. I die. I have to wait for the you died screen to show up. I have to wait to load back in. I have to wait to run back to the boss. And I can tell you, like, my least favorite bosses from the Dark Souls franchise are the ones that have, like, a 2-minute run back in Dark Souls 1. Because it is painful to die to some dumb BS. And the worst boss fight in the game is the worst for more than this, but it's because it has a massive run back and BS mechanics. Actually, the worst boss fight FromSoft has ever done. But like that's a forced waiting, and that sucks. I think we hate that. This seems to also be like the Hollow Knight, or
yes,
the Silksong.
I was going to say Hollow Knight as well.
Well, I'm saying like the Silksong. We are forced into waiting, and the community hates it. Everybody's like, for the love of God, just please tell us like anything. Give us anything.
Tell us
to
it's
work
coming
with.
out in 2028. Just be fucking honest about it, and then we will wait. But just moving the goalposts all the time, we feel powerless. Yeah. Right.
So there's a total lack of agency there. I think the other side of things is like, I brought this up before, and I think we haven't dived into this side too much, but like the Hades 2, we're waiting, or like
because we choose to,
or like we have a Steam library that has a lot of games, and like I haven't played these yet. I have a box of Warhammer here. This is a $60 box. I spent $60 on these models. I haven't built it yet. Do I feel bad? No. I just bought another box for like another $200. Cause like I've done this to myself, and I know I'll get to it eventually. So like I don't feel bad about that waiting. I don't feel bad about that purchase either, because I know I'm gonna get to it. I think it's interesting that in between, Dempsey, you're mentioning of like you're walking through Death Stranding and it pops you some music. Like, I'm in a forced waiting period because I'm waiting to get to the next area, and there's not really anything I could do. But, like, I have a little bit of agency because, well, I mean, I don't even really have agency because I just need to wait this through, but they've made the experience better in some way.
Yeah, I would say those are, that is designed very intentionally. That's a part of what the game is saying. And when you were talking about boss runs...
Oh, is it a theme that it's trying to share?
What?
Oh, don't get it
started. Is it a theme that it's trying to share?
Okay, it's even if it is, that's still a subjective experience that's happening in my brain only.
Don't get it. Okay. Just keep talking.
Anyways, so and like with Dark Souls, or like because I played Demon Souls, and there's some long boss runs in that game. So like that, I think that could be argued to be part of the experience. I think it's interesting that like so the idea of waiting, like I've seen like essayists and things like that talk about like the long boss runs and like how they give you a chance to prepare yourself and to take a break from the action and things like that. Whereas Elden Ring, you kind of just pop right back in and then you go in. And so that could be an intentional thing of like giving you a chance to kind of recoup from the action. I think it's funny because like you could have a boss, like let's say it's 45 seconds long, right? So a boss run that's 45 seconds long, and you're going to feel that every time you die. Or a loading screen that's 45 seconds long, and you're going to feel that every time you die. And I think, I don't think those are the same experiences. Even though it's the same amount of, I have to wait and cannot progress without this, and it might not be like something that I'm really paying attention to. Because I think at some point, boss runs, you just run by everything and you know how to do it. So, on the element of like self-imposed waiting though, I think I will do this with a lot of games where I need to feel like I'm in the right headspace. For movies especially, I will be like, I don't know if I'm like in the right vibe to connect with this in a way that I want to. I don't know if I consider that a form of waiting though, because I think if I could magically be in the right headspace, I would do it now. And so it's more of like, yeah, but if I was in the headspace, I wouldn't continue waiting. Like,
I don't know if I follow you on this one.
So, like, I think
I didn't say anything.
Kitty's making faces at me. Like, I think, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's a sense of like I'm trying to think of an example of like so like I would say like I could be in the space to play Clara Obscura right now. I think I am. And that's part of the thing that's giving me anxiety is that I'm worried that with Death Stranding, I'm not going to want to play a AAA game or a big game, and so I'm not going to be in the right headspace. But I think that's a different kind of waiting than waiting to play Citizen Sleeper when I'm in a space where I feel like I can vibe with it. Because one is like waiting for external factors to change, and one is waiting for internal factors to change.
I get it. So one is you're waiting until you want to.
Yes, and I don't. And yes, that's it.
Yes.
Yes, I'm waiting until I want to, and one is I want to now, but I still have to wait. I think, right. Yeah, if I did it now, it would not be pleasurable anyways, versus it would be pleasurable to do it right now, and I still can't do it. And even if that is for some self-imposed reason, it's still, I would rather have it now than wait. And one is that if I do it now, it's going to ruin the experience. So I don't want to do it anyways. And at that point, you're just doing what you want in the moment rather than putting something you want off later. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Is that
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Like one is delayed gratification. I want this now, but I'm going to wait. And the other one is delaying so that it will be gratifying when you're ready to. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. What, Seth?
I don't know. Your description of one of them is delayed gratification and one of them is gratification with delay. They're totally different.
No, Dempsey understands me.
Your explanation of it was good. I was like, that's funny that you essentially describe these two things the same way.
Next step is that we're going to be psychoanalytic philosophers who make up our own terms. No offense.
We don't make up our own terms. We use terms that already exist in a way that no one else uses them. Okay. Which is, anyways.
The two experiences that are coming to mind, and I think this is really relevant because they're very similar games, is if I have to go somewhere in Skyrim, like if I have to make the walk from like Whiterun to Solitude in Skyrim, that feels, I don't want to say like brutal, it's not the right word, but it feels like a long walk. Like I know I'm hopping on a horse and we're going to be galloping out for a while, especially if you don't have like a mod that shows all the roads. You're probably even going to get lost along the way, or just resolve yourself to like, Bird's direction and just like go straight there. But I had a very different experience when I played Fallout New Vegas, because wandering the Mojave, I can pull out my Pip-Boy, I can set the radio station to listen to like jazz or something as I walk over there, or just like, they're made up in-game radio stations. And there was plenty of times playing, Fallout 3 and New Vegas, where I was like, I could fast travel there, or I could walk. And if I get to walk, I get to listen to the radio.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I'm walking.
Waiting becomes part of the experience.
Right. And I actually really enjoyed that walk. Well, okay, and so this was another point I was going to bring up earlier.
Yeah, is that waiting or is that not waiting because you are doing something you want to do?
Right. But I was going to bring this up when you had mentioned the Hollow Knight benches. Because, if I'm sitting on a bench in Hollow Knight, I'm not really waiting.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
I don't know if it's something about the word waiting or something about, like, the experience of waiting. But, like, if I'm making a conscious effort to not do something, I'm not really, like, waiting for a thing to happen.
I agree. I think, so waiting is, so here we go. Waiting is only waiting if you hate it. Like, I think waiting is only waiting if it's an inconvenience. I think if it doesn't feel like an inconvenience and you're okay with it happening, it's just part of the experience and is no longer waiting.
What about like something like Stardew Valley where you're waiting for your crops to grow? Like you have to wait 6 days or whatever.
We said we purposely wait to play games, and that's not like a bad experience. Like, I don't feel bad waiting to play Hades, or I don't feel bad waiting to build these models.
No, but it's because so I'm gonna I'm gonna push back on this. I don't think that's actually waiting. I think that is knowing when you will enjoy it most. I think waiting would be, so like, for example, I've had to wait like 2 weeks to play Death Stranding, even though I would have rather have played Death Stranding, but I was too busy with work. And so that's not the same as like waiting to start a game when I feel like it. So this goes back to like delayed gratification versus gratification that's delayed. And I think, I do think there's something about, if like waiting exists in the not wanting and rather be doing something else. But I think like your walk in Fallout, and like for me that's GTA 5 with the car radio stations, where sometimes I really like when the missions are very far apart, and sometimes I'll drive extra just so I can kind of cruise, follow the traffic lights and everything, even though that's not like the story gameplay, but it's nice to do that. But I don't think at that point it's waiting.
Okay,
I think it's just
you're
counterpoint.
gameplay. Okay.
If there's, let's go back last week. I am excitedly waiting for Nightreign to come out.
Sure.
Like, there's an anticipation there of like, I'm waiting for something that's outside of my agency, but I don't feel bad about it. In fact, I actually feel I'm excitedly waiting for something to happen.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. And
that's interesting. So
my loop back around is that's Advent, but that's a different story.
So hypothetically, if you could have got early access, let's say that we were big enough that someone makes TikToks for us and we finally pop off, and Bandai Namco reaches out to you to let you play it early, would you rather savor like the waits to play it when it releases, or play it early because the only reason you were waiting is because you had to?
I mean,
right?
I would.
This is not a hypothetical for some people. Some people actually get to do this.
Some people. I mean, aside from like contractual obligations, right? I would play it early, but also, like, I intentionally avoided any spoilers before I went into Nightreign. Like, other like content creators were producing stuff about the game in the days before it came out, and I intentionally chose not to watch any of that because I'm excitedly waiting for Nightreign to come out. And
sure,
to play into your point about the experience, part of the experience of Nightreign for me is in the waiting for it to come out.
No, okay. This is like a third type of, this is another type of waiting.
anticipation, which can actually increase your enjoyment once you get it. That's the delayed. That can be a type of delayed gratification, then, isn't it? Like, I don't know. You have to wait to have ice cream until gratification
that I don't have agency.
And then you. Right. Gotcha.
And I would also say I think the argument that Seth is making, I'm going to put words in Seth's mouth.
That's fine.
Is that there's actually gratification in the delay. So whereas like if I like there's things that that I have to delay them for reasons, whether that's external or internal, whether that's because I'm too busy with work and I can't play it, or because I'm not in the right emotional headspace to where I wouldn't enjoy it even if I did play it. So that's waiting for some kind of either external or internal reason. But then there is the waiting that feels good, and the waiting that it's part of the experience to wait, even though you don't have any agency over it, which I think is a different thing than I've been talking about. I don't think it's the same thing that I've been talking about. I think
that's like anticipation is half the fun, is something that people say.
Yeah,
and even if it's something you don't want to wait for, like I don't want to wait for Nightreign to come up. I would rather play it, but ultimately. The anticipation is part of the experience. Yeah.
So this is how I feel about vacations. Where when I put a vacation or a trip on the calendar, the good in my life that trip does, the fact that it kind of like helps me organize my life, goal oriented. Hey, I'm stressed right now, but I know in like 2 months I'm going to go on a trip or whatever. That anticipation, I think, is more good than the trip itself. And I try to enjoy the looking forward to that experience. And so that is a type of waiting. Because if I really, really, really wanted to, I could take the time off now. Like it's the same PTO hours.
Sure.
But there's something about putting it in the future and waiting for that to come and feeling like you're looking forward to something. I think it's the giving yourself something to look forward to, maybe. Is that like that? Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting.
Do you think that that's why they keep canceling or like changing the release date for Silksong? They want us to anticipate it so much.
No, I think they have that. No, I think people are ironically anticipating it now. I don't think anybody actually wants this game to come out.
And that's actually a really good example because people were so excited and then they kept being disappointed and they kept being disappointed and the wait went longer and longer. And now people, I think, and I don't want to speak for all people, but from my own point of view, I'm like, yeah, whatever. When it comes out, it comes out. I'll play it whenever I get to it because it's been anticipation disappointed.
Okay, but like, because the same thing happened with Elden Ring. You got to remember, like, when we got the original Elden Ring trailer, it was almost 2 full years from the original trailer until the next time we heard anything about it, which is an insane thing to happen.
I didn't know that.
A AAA game. Yeah, it's crazy. I have to look at the exact dates, but I'm pretty sure it's like almost 2 full years.
Before you even saw it again.
Before we heard anything else about it. We knew this game was going to be coming out eventually.
It's like a real teaser trailer.
And for the love of God, you should have seen the community for Elden Ring even from like the first major trailer. I mean, people went like batshit insane. I've never seen a group of people that have just like literally broken down. Any Game Awards show, there would be like the subreddit would be aflare because there was a whole bunch of memes of people like crying. Did I say on the podcast about they took Miyazaki,
the transparency thing?
Yeah, the transparency thing. Yeah. They rotated him, they made him more transparent. Like they just had nothing to do for like 2 years. And the community made up characters and like, but that's a very different experience than Silksong, where I feel like the Silksong community has sort of resigned to the fact that this game has never come out. And the Elden Ring people just went insane.
Yeah, it's the clown makeup.
Yeah.
Kind of
every time people get excited.
Yeah. It's let me get my clown costume out. So, but yeah, I do think this idea of like purposeful anticipation is really interesting to me.
Like I said, that's Advent. But again, go to church.
Read a book. It's called the Bible.
Read a book. There's a 400-year period between the Old Testament and the New Testament.
So would
the Advent.
So I think so. I'm trying to
Really?
figure out what anticipation is, because like, let's say that
I know.
you. Oh, okay, good.
Anticipation. I think I raised my hand for our audio only listeners, which is everyone. Anticipation is dopamine that we get before we get the dopamine from getting what we want. It's extra dopamine. That's why we like it so much.
Well, yeah, because I think so. Let's say I start a story game in which has an ending, right? So let's take the. I don't want it to be too emotionally complicated because I think that complicates the point. Let's say Demon Souls, and the point of Demon Souls is to kill all of the last bosses or whatever and break and meet the big worm at the end of the game, right? So I'm working towards a goal. I'm working towards meeting this big worm. But I wouldn't say that I anticipate that, because playing the game, like, I think it's different than the anticipation of waiting for the game to end. Like, I think just because you have a goal, or just because you have something that you're looking forwards, that doesn't mean you're looking forward to it, or it's anticipatory. I think part of this having something to look forwards to is the lack of agency. Like, I think that in a game, when you're working towards the ending, even though you're excited to be done with the game and to meet all the challenges and things like that, I think that's different than looking forwards to a vacation, because I can't really do anything to make my vacation happen faster, but you can do but the game itself is the experience of playing that game. Whereas the waiting for the vacation is not the experience of going on vacation. So I think they're in this in this sense of like waiting. I think if you have agency over actions that get you closer to that goal, that is a different kind of thing. I think this anticipation that we're talking about, it has to be passive in some way.
But what if you were like anticipating? What if you were anticipating being able to do a pull-up? I'm so excited to be able to do a pull-up, and I'm working on it every day.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's what this anticipation is, because I would say that's more like playing a video game. Like, it's like the anticipation of beating Bowser. But if you just went and beat Bowser, you missed the whole game. And I think it depends on whether you enjoy exercise. I think that's what the anticipation of doing a pull-up is if you see that as there is just time that you fill in between not being able to do a pull-up and doing a pull-up, or if you enjoy the process and find meaning in the building of strength.
Okay.
Which I don't, by the way.
So for clarification, right? Dempsey is literally just arguing that the journey is more important than the destination.
I'm saying that's not waiting. I'm saying that when the journey is more important than the destination, that is not waiting. But sometimes you are waiting and the journey is the only point.
That's true, because waiting is passive. You're right. Waiting is passive.
Yes.
Otherwise, if I'm excited, if I'm anticipating, but you can anticipate without waiting.
Yes, I will say that.
Oh, thank God. Whew. He finally agreed with me, and it's been recorded.
True. Don't cut that part out.
Okay.
No, actually, we're an hour and 10 in. He's not cutting any of this out. Are you kidding?
Are you kidding me? No, I do. I think yes. Okay, so waiting plus anticipation, good. Waiting with no anticipation, bad. I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
Waiting, no agency, bad. But it depends on the anticipation.
Yeah,
yes.
Because sometimes
waiting with agency, good. Waiting without agency plus anticipation, good. Waiting without agency with no anticipation, bad.
So, okay, I'm going to make it biblical because I feel like the Advent thing. So here we go. So this is a difference between, I would say that theologically, this is the difference between apocalyptic and non-apocalyptic prophecy. Because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes in apocalyptic prophecy, you can do things to make the apocalypse come sooner. And in non-apocalyptic prophecy, you can't. So
I'm not touching this one with a 10-foot pole. I'm moving
No,
on after
no.
you're done with what you're saying.
I think
Okay.
I
Well,
think we're
I was just saying
an
that.
hour and 10 minutes in,
Okay.
and he's
I was
going
gonna-
biblical.
That's fine.
It's true.
I was just saying that, like, most Christians do not think that you can bring upon the end of the earth. That's I think most Christians do not believe that.
Well, isn't that what it
Christians do
says?
that.
Like, nobody can know when the end times are, and so just kind of got to roll with it, basically.
But I would say that that's two different kinds of waiting. If you think that you can bring upon the end of the earth, and if you can't, one of those has more agency. And one of those, it might be like the journey. Like maybe the end of the earth is actually the friends that we've made along the way.
Oh my God.
Okay, we need to stop.
Okay.
There's your
Thank
philosophy
you.
for the day, Dempsey. The real meaning is the friends you made along the way.
There we go. All right.
Katie, wrap us up.
Thank you. I will. It's my job, Dempsey. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Overthinking Games, a podcast about what video games can teach us, with a side of nihilistic philosophy, thanks to Dempsey. If you have any thoughts about this episode, other episodes, things we should talk about, or what games you're waiting for, send us an email. It'll be in the show notes. And you can find us on TikTok and all of the usual places. Join us next time. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
I am really interested in this.